Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Winnipeg Jets franchise mode here in NHL 24. So in last episode, we started up the 2039-40 season, and it's been a little bit of an uncharacteristic season for our team so far. As you can see, we're 17, 17, and 7. It's mainly because of the fact we haven't found a coach that seems to have worked really for this team, which is not great. So we are actually trying to fight to get back into the playoff hunt at the moment. As you can see, the last playoff spot, which is a wild card spot, has 48 points. We have 41 points, so we are quite far back. However, obviously I do trust that this team could probably get back into the playoff hunt if they have a good second half of the season. But it's been a very, very weird season. Very uncharacteristic of our prior seasons. We have been still getting a lot of points throughout our lineup, which seems to be a theme throughout these last few years. However, for some reason, there seems to be a little bit of a problem with the defensemen, especially guys like Troy Blum, who was recently brought in to help us out defensively. He hasn't been good so far. You also have Bickle and Goddard, who's suffered defensively, and a bunch of other guys who are usually in the plus department aren't really doing that. So hopefully they could improve a little bit in the second half of the season. And then also our goaltending really hasn't been the best too on paper. Like Bergfist has a ton of overtime losses, so at least those are points, but still those are valuable points that we could have had to help us in the standings a bit. He's only got a 908 as well, which is definitely not as good as... Actually, it is better than last year. Wow, that's kind of weird. Yeah, that's strange. It's better than last year, but the year before it is definitely nowhere close to that. So I honestly don't know what the heck this team is doing. I think it's just, like I said, based on the fact that we haven't found ourselves a good enough coach. I did offer a new coach a contract in between episodes. I think I will have him potentially be our head coach of the season, but I'm not 100% sure. Depends if he accepts or not, because I offered him an AHL assistant job, but I will reorganize our coaching staff accordingly once he decides to accept. But at the moment, we've been running Jenkins. We also decided to try Byers a bit, also see what Eichel was looking like, but these coaches just don't seem to work that well with this team at the moment. Like, definitely that retirement to Vivirios in the offseason has played a pretty big factor, I think, in how our record looks like at the moment. So it's been very weird. And yeah, hopefully this team can find a way to have a better second half of the season, because if we somehow miss the playoffs after all this, I will be really surprised, considering we are a dynasty. We still are a dynasty. But obviously that dynasty comes into the fate if we make the playoffs or not. But anyways, let's get in your guys' comments down, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we will get into similarly more of the season and seeing if this team can find out their identity for the season and also get back into that playoff hunt. So the first two and only comments are from Michael Dose. The first one says, shocked Blum accepted, but maybe all those cups got him to come to Winnipeg. Great job, GM Snipe. And yeah, I wasn't really expecting Blum to accept our contract, because we gave him a one-year deal, and he was looking kind of for like a multi-year deal. But he decided to choose us over 11 other teams, so that was very exciting. However, he hasn't been, like I said, the best on paper this season. He was really good in Philadelphia in terms of defense, but this season he's a -10 through 41 games, so I don't know if I made us too strong or whatnot. I did also readjust the defensive core based on what his next comment is, so Blum is now playing with Vandermeer, backers with Goddard, and then we could always readjust this accordingly if it still doesn't do well. In his last and final comment says, what about playing Blum with Vandermeer on the first line? Defense tried the two best rated defenders on first line, getting majority of the ice time. So that's exactly what I was just mentioning, what we did. So I hope that it works out. That is two left-handed defensemen playing together, which is a little bit of a risk. And then you also have two right-handed defensemen playing together, so that's also a little bit of a risk. But obviously I'm willing to take that risk just to see if it ends up working out better for our team. And yeah, that's basically the only adjustments I made. Other than I also decided to swap Blunden and Walter, because Walter has been off to a very slow start. He's only got 12 goals. Meanwhile, Blunden's already on 15. So Blunden is going to get into the top 6. Walter will be back on the third line. Also, if you look down at the scheme fit thing, Blunden's a better fit for the second line. Walter is actually a better fit for the third line. So we will see if that ends up helping anything in terms of the offensive load that this team needs. So that's basically that, and yeah, we'll see if that coach that I offered a contract to accepts. And if he does, we will see what he's looking like as a potential head coach option in terms of chemistry. And if he's good enough, maybe we'll run him for the season, because he's got a higher overall than other coaches. He doesn't have a huge good scheme fit. He has like a 60 scheme fit, I think it is. But he does have a better rating, so I'm hoping that that could help our team get out of the gutter, so to speak. But let's go a few days, because he should accept within a day or two. That is if he actually wants to join this organization, which who knows if he wants to. So let's see. I'm not making any trades, not getting rid of any prospects, not really wanting to make that type of deal right now. Thank you, though, Ottawa. Galvis is on board. That's great. So there's back-to-back losses. We're now below 500. Jeez. And we have fallen to second last place in the Central Division. Yeah, this coach better save my ass, because or else I'm going to be very disappointed if we miss the playoffs just because of a coach retiring. So I guess for the time being, I got to fire somebody. Yeah, I got to fire somebody. So we'll fire the AHL goalie coach, and I will try and bring him back again at some point. But Galvis, we will see what you're looking like as a potential head coaching option. Let's see. So you should have a 60, right? Yeah, you have a 60. We'll put the highest rated coaches there. I want to keep Jack Eichel kind of up there, but he is a forward coach, so I will demote him for the time being. Jenkins will be the assistant coach, just because that way we have a generalist, a defensive coach, and a forward coach. And then Eichel will be like, yeah, the AHL assistant coach for the time being. Okay, so let's take a look at the chemistry and see if it impacted our lines at any stage. Let's see. Okay, so it looks pretty similar offensively. A little bit worse on the third line, but that's all right. Defensively, looks better for sure. Blum and Vandermeer's a +4 rather than a +1. That second period has no chemistry, though, which kind of sucks. But yeah, it looks good so far. What about on the power play? Power play looks okay. Walter's not on the power play. That's why he's struggling this year. Why is Walter not on the power play and Akeem Hansen is on the power play? Alright, I might have found one of our problems here. We'll put Walter on the power play there instead. I do not know why Walter wasn't on the power play. That is kind of ridiculous. We got to keep note of that for next season. Pellenkill looks okay as well. Okay, the chemistry looks pretty fine. So we will try running this head coach and seeing what it does for our team. And if it could get our team back to actually winning games. Because if we miss the playoffs and then Aiden Irving retires this season, that would kind of suck. But we were outscored 10-4 in our last 2 games. So yeah, we're still on a downwards trajectory, which is not ideal. We need to have a really strong month here to end off, or else we are in a bad spot. So let's go to the end of January and see if we can string together some wins with this new coach. Shootout win, okay. 6-1 win, 6-5 loss, 3-2 win. Walter has been injured with a pulled groin. Of course, he gets injured after I make those adjustments. We'll go replace player on that front. We've also battled a good amount of injuries, I think, this year too, so that could have hurt us a bit. Okay, so that's a decent end to the month. We do win almost every game except for 2, but still, we're just barely above 500 at 22, 21, and 7. This is not the type of season I was expecting this team to have. How much points are we out of a wild card? We're only 6 points back. We do have 2 more games played, which kind of sucks. But we are definitely still in the hunt for the playoffs, but obviously we can't drop like 10 straight games. And I'm surprised Philadelphia is doing as bad as they are as well. Like, both these 2 teams should be a playoff team regardless, but it doesn't seem like that right now. Alright, let's see. Actually, let me go to the coaching staff. How good has this coach been actually now since he's been with us? Because this is his first head coaching job. He's 5-2-0, so he definitely has helped us a little bit. So that's good. So he's probably definitely the best one suited for our head coaching job just based on his overall and all that. And he's also got the highest scheme fit rather than Jenkins, who has a little bit lower scheme fit but a higher overall. So obviously if the team fires a head coach and there's a head coach out there that looks really good for our team, I might pursue them instead, because obviously our current coaching situation isn't set up for a strong season next year either. So I honestly want to find ourselves a good coach that could honestly be like the Viverios that won us all those cups and President's Trophies. But this year, we're definitely not going to be a President's Trophy winning team, I think, at this rate. But as long as we get in the playoffs, that's okay. Even if it's by the skin of our teeth, maybe we could go on a run and win another Stanley Cup. So let's go to the 15th, take this month a little bit slower, just to see if we could string together some W's, because that would be great. Game against the Philadelphia Flyers, we lost in overtime. That's kind of surprising, considering Philly's not been doing too well. That is another point. However, those overtime losses might screw us out of actually making the postseason, which is not great. Let's go back. Let's see, game against Dallas, 6-2 win. Colorado's a 2-1 win. We do lose to Arizona 6-4. We're only 5 points back, but we have 3 more games played than the team that's in that wild card spot. So that's not ideal. we need to hope that the Blues end up losing a bunch of games. Yeah, we need to hope that the Blues end up losing a bunch of games. We do play them at the end of the month, so that's a pretty big game potentially. Let's go to the 22nd. Take it a little bit slow, like I said. Game against Montreal is a nice win there. We do beat Dallas, and we do beat the Rangers. We are getting back into almost the playoff hunt. We are 2 points back with 2 games more played. So the Coyotes are a tough team now for us to get into the playoffs. The Blues have jumped up a bit too, but we are definitely closing up on making the playoffs. It just all depends on the Coyotes, Blues, and Wild. Those teams are probably the teams that could fall out of the playoff mix if we get back in. But it's been a good little stretch. We have 4 more games to end the month. Let's see if we could get back into the playoffs by the end of the month, potentially. There's another win. There's a loss. There's a win. And a 7-6 shootout win over the Blues. We are now tied for the last wildcard spot. However, we do have 3 more games played, which is not ideal. But we are back into a playoff hunt completely. That's a really good end to the month. We lost in overtime there. We lost to Arizona here. And we lost to New Jersey in regulation, but every other game was a win. So that was important. Sucks that the Blues got a point in that game, because if they didn't get a point in that game, maybe that would have helped us a little bit more in terms of that last playoff spot so far. But 30, 23, and 8. This new coach has definitely helped us out quite a bit. Aiden Irving's still leading the way. I don't know if this team really needs any changes in terms of trades and stuff. Like, I feel like I trust this team to get back into the playoff hunt. But let me just skim through some player stats just to see if there's anybody that's badly minus on this roster. Not really. Not really. Okay, that's good. What about defense? Blum is up to a +5. So with this new head coach, Blum has definitely gotten a lot better playing next to Vandermeer. He's a +5 with 23 points. He only had 10 points, I think, before and was -10. So since getting moved up to the top pairing and also making that coaching adjustment, he's been much, much better. That second pairing still minus, but that's okay. And the goaltending numbers have stayed relatively the same. So I think we are pretty good to keep actually simulating. This coach has probably a pretty good record. Let's see how he's been since he's been hired. Let's see. I feel like we had Galveston as an assistant coach at one point. His name sounds familiar. 13-4-1 so far since he's been hired. So, yeah, Aldrich Galvis is definitely our guy going forward here, just based on how he's been coaching us. Also, the coaching, what was it? The coach chemistry, I think it was. Yeah, the staff chemistry went up to a 77%. I believe before, at the beginning stage of this episode, I could be wrong completely, but I think it was below a 50. So, I think we might have found our problem and fixed it. But obviously, we still have a little bit of room to move up in the standings, because all the teams that are above us that we're fighting to get into the playoffs with are teams that are literally played less games than us. So we need to be able to beat them when we do play them is the thing. Okay, let's go to a couple more days because the trade deadline should be ahead. I might actually pop into the deadline just to see what's out there, but I honestly don't know if I will make any trades. So let's go to a day before the deadline and see if we can get some more wins. Oh no. That's not what I wanted to see. This actually could hurt our playoff chances completely. Per Bergqvist has broken his foot. He will not be back to the playoffs, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Which means we have to rely on Jim Bohinski. And for the time being, I'm going to have to call up Biggs, I guess. I could call up Kalinin, but to be honest, I don't know if I would want Kalinin up here yet. Yeah, I gotta say I'm going to go with Biggs for the time being. But I might have to actually trade for a goalie here because we don't have Mills anymore. If we still had Mills this season, I wouldn't be in a bad spot like I was right now that I am. But since we traded away Mills, we are in a pretty bad spot in terms of goaltending right now. I was not expecting Bergqvist to go down with an injury this year. He was off to a pretty solid start too. So we will definitely take a look and see if there's any goalies out there that we could bring in to help us out, because or else this could hurt our playoff opportunities a lot. We had another OT loss there. All these OT losses are definitely going to hurt us too in terms of the playoffs. So let's see what is out there for goaltenders, because April 24th should be the end of the season, if I'm not mistaken. Let's double check on that. So we need a new starting goaltender, meanwhile, like a temporary starting goaltender that will be eventually our backup. Yeah, that's like into the first round basically is when Bergfist returns. So there's no question about it. We need another goalie. We just definitely need one. But is there anybody out there that we could actually bring in that could help us out? So we need goaltenders, right? Yeah. That's such a substantial blow to our team in terms of goaltending. Like the other goalies are nowhere close to being ready. So let's see what we got here. Any interesting goalies? Let's actually go goalies matching block. Actually, not goalies matching block. Maybe actually. Maybe not matching block. Let's just look at goalies and see what teams have been bad this season, because they will offload their goalies probably if they're on 1 year left. Oh, damn. Boston really doesn't have a goalie. Damn, that's crazy. No wonder they're not in a playoff spot. Buffalo, Devin Levi, but 38 years old and 78 only. That's not really what I had in mind. LeBlanc is on the block, has an 82 at 26. Okay, so that could be the guy. That could be the guy. He's only 26 years old. And he has been their starter. Hasn't been too good so far this year. Has never played in the playoffs. I don't know if I would trust that, to be honest. But that might honestly be our best option. Low trade value. So there is a chance we'll come back to LeBlanc in Buffalo. Let's see. Carolina. No. Looking for teams that would actually be willing to move their goaltender. Logan Scarlett has 5 years left. It would have been interesting to bring back Scarlett, but it's got too much term. Colorado looks like they're fighting for the playoffs. They have a ton of goalies. Holy crap, man. I don't think I've ever seen a team draft that much goaltenders. Damn. And nobody's even really that good. Other than Curry, who's an 83. Yeah, so nothing really there in Colorado. Dallas. What did they got? Any goalie with 1 year left? Not really. Vorobiev is pretty solid, but 4 years. I want somebody on a short-term contract as well, so that one goalie might be our best option. Even though he's not really that good. Weinrich is on 4 years. Edmonton's probably playoff bound so far. The Montreal Canadiens, what about them? Oh, that's where Lacerte went. He's signed to a 4-year deal, though. Lacerte would have been nice because he's a former Vezina Trophy winning goalie, but he's got 4 years, so it's like, eh. The Islanders, I don't know if they're in a playoff spot or not. 2 years left on Bullion. We're looking for somebody on a 1-year deal, please. Rangers aren't going to be willing to. Ottawa. What do you got, Ottawa? 83 and 88. The 83 has 1 year left. However, he is a high elite, and he's only 22. So there's definitely, yeah, he's definitely their future starter. He's already extended for 2 years as well, so that doesn't make any sense. Wasn't going to bring back Stanley King either. Philadelphia. Oh, Philly has Nash on the block, who we were looking at before. I don't know if Nash would really work that well. He's a low overall. He's been an okay backup goalie, but he's not really played that much. He was a starter at one point. Or actually, he's kind of like a fringe starter, so it's like, I don't know about that. I don't think I would bring in Maximus Nash over the other guy. The San Jose Sharks, probably not in the playoff spot. They only want to get rid of their prospects. Actually, let me take a look at DeVries. That's the former Ducks goalie, if I'm not mistaken. Only on 875. That's not really that bad, but 2 years. What else teams are not in the playoffs? Tampa. Tampa's got an 88, and then they have, like, nothing else. Damn, that guy's getting paid some big money. Big money. What else they got here? Vancouver. Vancouver's got a goalie with 1 year left, and he's an 87. He probably... Oh, he's already extended for 6 years, so I guess they're not worrying about Andronov. That's kind of stupid that they'd extend this guy. If there was no extension, I would probably look to trade for this guy. Simon Poirier, being an 87. But apparently they're going to extend him for 6 years when they have already an 88 overall goaltender. So that's kind of weird. But, oh well. Vegas has no good goalies. The only goalie on the block that are not on the block that would be good is Galiev, and he's signed for 4 years. And then lastly is Washington. So I guess we're going to have to go talk to Buffalo. I think it was Buffalo, right? Yeah, on LeBlanc, because he's the best option out there. So we will take LeBlanc. What do you want from us, though, is the question. I was not getting rid of any of these top prospects and guys on our team. I could give you like an unsigned prospect and a pick if you really want to, because I'm not going to sign this low bottom 6 anyways. So I'll give you the rights to Darmour. Buffalo would have too few goalies. So we have to give up a goalie to get a goalie. Oh, man, that's not good, because now we might actually have to go talk for that other 81 goalie, because who am I going to give up in this? I don't want to give up Kalinin. I could just give up Biggs, hypothetically. And then Bohinski would get sent down on waivers. Yeah, I guess I could put Biggs into this deal just so they have enough goaltenders under contract. And then they'd be under the minimum salary cap, so we actually have to give them somebody that's making some salary. How much do they need? Probably not a lot. Skaters matching block here. Who's making a good amount that's not really important on this roster? Not anybody that I'm willing to trade there. Let me just go to... Let me just see if there's anybody I have that's making money. I think Buffalo actually might be tough to trade with, just because of their scenario. Because none of these guys I'm willing to get rid of. And then all these other guys are on two ways. The only one that would make sense maybe is Reason. Would that make them even cap compliant? It would. Moving Reason might be okay. I do like Reason, but he might be okay just to make him cap compliant, because we definitely need a goalie here, or else our playoff hopes might be done. Because I'm trying to see in the system, who do we got here? Waters is already up to an 80. So Waters could be in the NHL easily this season. Who else we got in terms of overalls that are already in the AHL? Bohms is unsigned and he's a 79. Wow, I didn't realize he was going to develop that quick. Okay. Hagelin could come into the lineup. Kane could even come up as a depth option. Yeah, I think I'm going to trade Reason in this deal, and then Kang will come back up to, or will come up to the NHL as that depth option, and then Reason will be out of the lineup probably. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to have to lean towards doing just because of the cap situation. Can I get any picks back in this deal or no? Like, can I just take a 6th round pick into this deal too? Probably not, actually. Never mind. So Biggs and Reason for LeBlanc. That's rejected. Okay, so I guess we have to throw in a pick of our own, which is okay. We have multiple picks anyways. So we'll give you our 7th round pick. Is that a good enough offer? Yep, there it is. Perfect. Okay. So we have brought in ourselves a starting goalie. We did have to get rid of Biggs, which kind of sucks, and also the fourth liner. But now we have ourselves a goalie at least, because I don't trust Bohinski enough to be that starting guy while Bergfist is out. So a bit of a risky move, but I think it's good for us. We do also need to call up ourselves. I think we're going to call up Kang from the AHL. We could call up Mishenko, hypothetically, and just let him play, but I think he's more offensive, correct? Yeah, he is. Kang is a two-way forward, just like Reason was, so we'll call up Kang, and he will be at the play, I think, on that 4th line of ours. Which might be a risk, but we have to take risks at this point. We just have to, so we'll get him into the lineup here. He's only a 76, but that's okay. If he's not that good, I could always put in Hagelin instead. And then we will get to goalies and put in LeBlanc. So LeBlanc, hopefully you can get us into the playoffs. You aren't the best in Buffalo, but I'm hoping that you can get us into a playoff spot. Because obviously we do not have Bergfist anymore, so that's going to hurt us quite a bit. And then let's go best lines in the AHL for the time being. But Bryson Waters could end up playing in the NHL playoffs if we make it, which is exciting. So we do have some guys in the system that are going to definitely be competing for roster spots going forward, because we have that unsigned 79 overall medium elite as well. So there's some really intriguing players that could end up making our lineup in the next few years. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to make any more trades other than that, because I think that's pretty much all we needed to really address was that goaltending situation, correct? Let's just double check on this. See who's been doing what so far. Any bad minus guys? Only that 2nd line, that 3rd line a little bit. The bottom 6, not so much. How is Kang doing in the AHL? Really good, 41 points this year. So, yeah, definitely worth the call up. Let's see the defense. Okay. And we'll see what LeBlanc could do. He's pretty much just maybe a little bit worse even than Bohinski technically, but I think with a better team in front of him, LeBlanc should be okay. But it definitely sucks to lose Bergfist for the rest of the regular season and potentially part of the 1st round if we make it. So Let's go through this one game and see how LeBlanc does, and then we could kind of see if we actually need to make any more trades. I don't think we're going to need to make any more trades, but I honestly don't know if we're going to make the playoffs regardless or not. So, Hugo Payet's on waivers, probably because we just made a trade with Buffalo. He's not really anything, so I'm just going to decline that. Okay, and 3-1 win for LeBlanc in his first game as a starter for the Winnipeg Jets. I do not mind that. That's a pretty good game. Let me just take a look at his stat line from that first game, just to see if he's actually playing good in that game, because he should have started that game, and I'm curious on how Kang did in his first NHL game. I think we're pretty much ready just to simulate the rest of the season and hope that we make the postseason. So Kang had no points in his first game, but that's okay. And then LeBlanc, in his first game, was very good, 26 of 27. So we'll see if Rene LeBlanc could be our savior for this team. And likely if once Berkvist is back, we'll probably end up putting Bohinski on waivers or sending him down to the AHL for the AHL playoffs. That's probably how it's going to end up going. So anyways, let's get through this. I think we're going to simulate past the deadline here. Let's see the playoff scenario. We're 1 point back, but we have 3 more games played. See, those overtime losses are very crucial at this stage. So, yeah, we're going to pass the deadline. We're just going to pass it. I trust this team enough, I think. So let's go Bayer, and let's give the team some confidence that we're going to actually be a good cup contender still. Come on, boys. Beat Chicago, please. And Pavel Radulov on waivers. Almost accidentally claimed him. He's not that bad as a depth option, but he's making 4.84, so a bit too expensive for me. 3-0 shutout win. Was that another game for LeBlanc? Maybe. But 2 good defensive games in a row. That's exactly what I want to see from this team. We are not still in that wild card spot just because of the 3 games in hand. So hopefully the Wild and Blues play their games relatively soon, like during this stretch, so we could actually kind of have a better look if we're a playoff team or not. Let's go to the 16th. We got 3 more games here. 3-1 win. Another great defensive effort. 4-2 win. That's another good defensive effort. Holmquist has been injured in the AHL. That kind of sucks. Let's just go best lines in the AHL. 8-1 win over Arizona. Let's go. This team is back into the postseason just like that. I actually feel like we might have a chance to win the cup because of the fact that we started the season off so slow and now we're actually playing great. Whew. 79 points in 67 games. The Blues are now outside with 76 points in 65 games, which means we have 2 games more played. The most they could have technically is 80. So we're getting to that point where we're actually getting close to being a playoff team almost. So let's go through another week or so and see how we do during this stretch. Game against Buffalo. Detroit has fired their head coach. Let me just stop the sim for a second because I do want to see how good that coach is. We do beat Buffalo 7-5 in maybe LeBlanc's return to Buffalo. But let me take a look at that guy that just got fired as a coach, because maybe he's the coach we need. So let's go higher. I do like this current coach so far, but I want to see if the other guy's better. It was Long Eye, right? Who was it? Long Eye? Let me just take a look and see if it was. No, it wasn't Long Eye. Who was the guy that was literally just fired? It might have been Kubos. Let's see. Got to double check on this. Wasn't Kubos either. Man, now I can't remember who the heck it was. German. It wasn't German. Yeah, it wasn't German. Hansel wasn't. I honestly, maybe it was Cowan. I honestly don't remember who it was now that I just saw got fired. Wasn't Cowan. Kraus? Yeah, it might have been Kraus. Maybe not. Nope. I honestly don't remember who it was now. And, oh, I know it was Bannister. There you go. I remember him. Alan Bannister. Didn't do too good in Detroit. Same scheme fit as ours. Worse overall. I don't need him. If he had an A+ rating or something, that would have been good, but... Okay, well, looks like this team might be getting back into the playoffs, which is exciting. Just took a little bit of magic with the coaching staff and also readjusting the lines, and we are actually playing pretty good with a weaker backup goalie right now. 3-0 win. That's another great defensive game. Let's just keep going best lines in the AHL. Another win there. Our offense is all of a sudden doing really good too, because we've had 7 goals plus in 3 of our last 6 games, if I'm not mistaken. Let's go to the end of March. But looks like we're going to be back in the playoff hunt because of a great end to the season. Bulbrook was never injured. 2 more wins. Another one with 9 goals. Jeez. 43, 23, and 9. All of a sudden, we've completely cooked, and there's a chance we could win our division. That's actually kind of insane. Because we were so low, literally early in this episode. We were like at 7th place, I think. And this team has gone on a complete heater. I'm excited to see what the coach's record is with this team. But we have not clinched yet. We definitely are very close to it, though. Let's go through another week. See if we keep on winning some more games here. Win there, lost to Tampa, and lost to the Rangers. Okay, a couple losses in a row. We are on 97 points still, which should almost mean we're guaranteed to make the playoffs unless we completely fall off a cliff and the teams fighting to get into the playoffs don't. Let's go through 3 games, see if we win one of these. There's 3 losses in a row. There's a win over Colorado, win over the Flyers, and we have made it back to the playoffs, which is great to see. And our last game of the regular season, Per Bergqvist is back. Okay, well, that's interesting that he's back right at the end of the season. He's not fully healthy yet, which kind of sucks. Is there anybody else that would be okay with losing on waivers? Is there anybody else that would be okay with losing on waivers? Did I... oh, I could send down Bomick. Bomick was just a free agent signing and never played a game yet. I will send down Bomick just for the end of this, just because I want to make sure that Bergqvist is healthy before we put him in the lineup. Because if he gets re-injured again, we'll lose him for the rest of the season. But 47, 26, and 9 on the year. A really good second half of the year, and we've actually made it back to the playoffs, as we kind of expected. We finished 2nd place in the division, only behind the Nashville Predators. Not bad. Let's take a look at that coach's record first before we look at player stats and stuff. So, we brought in Galvis as our head coach, and let's see his record, 37-2 to get us back into the playoffs. So that is huge. 79.5% on the win percentage. That's huge. That's exactly what I needed from a coach, and that definitely helped out quite a bit. So shout out to Aldrich Galvis, who actually saved us potentially. Maybe LeBlanc also saved us, because I'm kind of surprised we did so well down the stretch, with our goaltending being a little bit worse than it was before. Okay, so standings. Let's see this. We finished as the 6th best team in the NHL, despite being pretty low at the beginning of the episode, so that's impressive. In terms of goals for per game wise, we were not a top 10 off. Actually, we were a 10th best offensive team, just barely. Probably because of the last half of the season, but obviously in the early stage of the season, we kind of struggled a bit. Goals against per game, we were actually one of the best defensive teams in the NHL. The best was the Anaheim Ducks. So Anaheim looking for another Stanley Cup this year. Our power play percentage was 2nd best on the league, so I'm kind of surprised we had a 2nd best power play, but we were 10th in offense. And then in terms of our penalty kill, we actually had a top 10 penalty kill too, so our underlying stats actually look pretty good, despite having a little bit of a rough start to the season. Very good on home ice, not so much on the road, and 8 shorthanded goals, 7-3 in our last 10 games. All right, player stats for the season. In 2040, what do we got here? Starting off with our centers, Ludvig Ekholm, 96 points in 82 games. Another great year for Ekholm. That is his 2nd best season of his career. He's up to 380 career points already. Love to see it. Bickle on 76 points is pretty good. I do like Bickle's play. Even without Caden Wilson being on that line or 2nd or 1st line, Bickle's had a pretty good year. A pretty good year. He's definitely been pretty consistent for what he's brought. And I'm surprised he was such a hot or late round pick. 215th overall, and he's been so good. Hansen on 42 points. That's actually really solid. That's really solid for what Akeem Hansen is kind of known for. On a nice little 2.9 contract. I don't mind that. And I don't know why it says I'm disconnected from the servers. It's kind of annoying, because if I do get disconnected from this game, I will be kind of pissed off. Blunden on 63 points, 36 goals. That's a really solid season from Taylor Blunden. Moving him into the top 6 might have helped out a lot as he improved on his rookie season. Love to see it. Hopefully he has a good playoffs, though. Walter only on 41 points, but he definitely struggled in the first half, so that kind of set the tone a little bit. 23 goals, though, still is respectable. But obviously, since he's getting paid 7.2, we need a little bit more out of that than 23 goals. Harrison on 29 points, not too bad for his rookie season. Same with Timmins. Kang had 8 points in 20 games since getting called up in a +4. So pretty much doing exactly kind of what Reason would have done on that fourth line. Hagelin played 3 games with a goal. Not bad. Right wing side of things, Aiden Irving on 91 points and 47 goals. Still that exact top 9 forward, which kind of sucks. But no 50-goal season this year, but he definitely is still having a really solid career. And this could be the last playoff run he has, or maybe he'll have 1 or 2 more seasons still. Janquizzi on 82 points is pretty solid, over 100 penalty minutes again. Bulbrook on 49 points, not bad. And Calvasari had a pretty good rookie season. Once again, doesn't shoot the puck a lot, but 38 points is pretty respectable. Only 3 goals. God damn. Yeah, this guy's a pure passer, which is kind of something we didn't have a lot of, so I like it. Defensively, Vandermeer on 66 points. A little bit of a down year for Vandermeer, but still 66 points as a defenseman is nice. That's his lowest in a couple of years, but he's still been really good. Goddard on 58 points. Damn, Goddard had a great year. And he's got 1 more year left on his contract, so that's a bit scary. But that's a career year for Jordan Goddard. Eventually, he's probably going to want to leave this team because of how much points he picks up. Blum on 29 points and a plus 11. Definitely had a very good second half of the season. He was minus 10 at the halfway point, and then he turned it completely around. So shout out to Troy Blum. Hopefully he helps us out in a playoff setting. Reese on 16 points. Scarlett on 11 points. Backer only on 4 points this year, but he is a DFD as well. But way less points than he had last year. His plus minus was still pretty good though too. And then we had Lalonde with 2 points in 14 games. In terms of our goaltenders, this should be interesting. So, Rene LeBlanc. Let's see how good he was since we actually brought him in. A 916 save percentage. Yeah, okay. So Rene LeBlanc was really, really good as a pickup. Made the right call there. He went 14-3 with 2 shutouts and 916 save percentage and a 2.49. So he will likely get the start in the playoffs until Bergqvist is fully healthy. Once Bergqvist is fully healthy, we'll send down Bohinski. That's likely the play. But Bergqvist had a pretty good season as well, under a 3 goals against average, and then Bohinski was definitely the weak link of the bunch, but that's okay. So there is our player stats. Let's take a look at stats around the league as well. The best scorer was Shane Collins in our division, so Nashville is definitely a threat. Jeff Lashoff up there for the St. Louis Blues, who might be also in the playoffs, as well as Peyton Eckford. Damn, a lot of guys in our division. And then Israel Sparks also in our division. Avery Boynton in our division. Damn, is everybody in our division? Everybody except for Ekman, apparently. But these first 6 guys are all in our division, so that's really scary. But then you go to some Eastern Conference guys. Roger McQueen's in our division as well. Koivisto's in the West. The Western Conference has a lot of good players based on the scoring. God damn. Alright, best goal scorer this season. Yanni Koivisto is 66. Sean Holmes, who was a free agent, 61 goals this year. That's a huge pickup for the Blue Jackets. Damn. Alright. What about best defenseman? Laurent Labrie, 70 points. I never seen this guy in this franchise mode. And that's probably why. What the hell did happen to this guy? He had a career like surge out of nowhere. Last year he was great as a depth defenseman, I guess. 16 points in 20 games. But how does he pick up 70 points out of nowhere? Like, that's like really crazy. So shout out to Laurent Labrie. There's also Budens, who's probably going to win the Norris based on his plus minus. Vandermeer was very close to winning it potentially as well. But the plus minus is a little bit off. Alright, Goddard up there too for us. Best goalie in terms of wins was Kim Rodin of the Nashville Predators. Most shutouts was Calvin DeVries of the San Jose Sharks. Best save percentage by a starter was Francis LeBlanc of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Not our LeBlanc, but a different LeBlanc. At first I thought it was ours. Goals against average was Kim Rodin. Yeah, so the Nashville Predators are quite a threat. Any goalie goals this season? No goalie goals. Most assists was Rodney and Wallstead. Okay. Best rookie this season. Warren Armstrong of the Edmonton Oilers with 69 points and 45 goals. Kondratyk up there. Kolesnik. Okay. This guy's name is Dylan Strome. That's kind of funny. Alright. So there is that. Now the question is, who are we playing in the first round of the playoffs? And is it a team we could beat? Thank God that notification went away about not being connected to the servers. It's kind of annoying when it pops up. We're going to be taking on the Arizona Coyotes, who had a lot of those guys up there in the points, which is not ideal. But this will be interesting. Bergfist is now fully healed, which means technically I could call back up that depth forward guy, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just keep Bohinski on here just in case of any injury. But Bergfist will actually get the start, I guess, in Game 1 because he's fully healthy. Unless you guys want me to go with LeBlanc because of how he played down the stretch. But we have our 2 goaltenders. And there is that. Okay. So, Arizona is a majorly good team just based on those player stats. Like, let's actually go to their player stats for the season. Actually, after we take a look at their roster, too. So, we could take a look at who's kind of the threats on their roster. But based on regular season, you can see we finished only 2 points above them. Obviously, we had a very slow start to the season, so we could have been way ahead of them, but we didn't. They were better offensively, which we kind of expected with all those high-up goal scorers. We were way better defensively, though. So that's kind of interesting. Power plays were pretty similar. Penalty kills were kind of similar. Alright. We have way more short-handed goals. So it's the Winnipeg Jets versus the old Winnipeg Jets, so to speak. So this is kind of interesting. I don't think we've ever played Arizona in this series so far, but I could be wrong. But let's take a look at their lineup, and then we'll take a look at their player stats as well from the regular season. So, Arizona, whew, geez, yeah, I can see why they were good. This top 6 is pretty damn nasty. Maybe one of the best top 6s I've seen. Dominic Domingue, Avery Cummins. Why do I recognize Avery Cummins? I don't know why. Maybe because of the points. I don't know. Israel Sparks is also up there. Nasty, nasty top line. Second line, Vitaly Bykov, Roger McQueen, and Nolan Crowder. Yeah, that top 6 is nasty. Jeez, Crowder was drafted 2nd overall 4 years ago. Yeah, that top 6 is insane. Third line has Maxime Menard, Ivan Perezhogin, great third line center, and Pierre Bouillon. And a fourth line of Gerald Garnett, Dominic Buzek, and Jacob Kennedy. So they have some youth on their roster, which is kind of surprising. But yeah, this is a very good forward group. Great depth down the middle. A little bit weak on the left side, but I mean, when you have all these good stud players with X factors, it doesn't make a big problem. Defensively, Julian Boma, Philip Johnson. A lot of these guys I've never seen before in this franchise mode. Vyacheslav Kavanov, Caleb Raffle, the former Seattle Kraken guy that I was thinking about bringing in last offseason via trade. He was brought into Arizona, and he had a pretty good season. I was actually really debating about trading for this guy for to basically be where Blum is, but I didn't end up. And he looks pretty solid. We also have Simon Giroux and Jyrki Latinen. So that defensive core, not as strong as that offensive core, but still respectable. Goaltending-wise, they have Jesper Wallstedt, who we saw up there in the win department and also in the save percentage department. No, it wasn't the save percentage department. Where was it? Oh, it was in the assist department, I think, right? Yeah, the 5 assists. He's been actually a really good assisting goalie. 40 assists in his career. So, shout out to Wallstedt. And then also Philippe Paris. Where have I seen this guy? Maybe in Vegas. I honestly don't know. In terms of depth, they have Oliver Fritzmeier and Zachariah Waite. So not the best depth options, to be honest. But yeah, that forward group is pretty damn nasty. I'm curious on their player stats from the regular season because I know that there has like 6 guys at least, or 4 guys up there in the top of the scoring department. So they definitely have good depth scoring on this roster. So let's see who is up there for them this season. Alright, so let's see their forwards first. So Sparks had 112 points. Domingue had 110. McQueen had 110. Cummins had 108. So 4 of the guys in their top 6 had over 100 points. Bykov, who was in the top 6, had 47 goals. Crowder had 73 points, but 41 goals as well. So their top 6 is insane. So that's something we need to find a way to shut down. They're pretty much like our old offensive core in a sense, but maybe even a little bit better. And Perezhogin, 43 points is not too bad as a third-line center, minus 23 though. So their bottom 6 definitely struggled defensively, but also helped out a little bit with the offense. Bouillon on 35. Yeah, their bottom 6 has some pretty bad plus-minuses, which is kind of surprising compared to the rest of the team. Defensively, Bomo had 25 points, so they don't get a lot of points from their back end. But they still have some points at least. In terms of their goaltending numbers, I'm curious on this. Not the best. Wallstead had an 894. Paris had a 901. So, yeah, their goaltending's not super good. Their defense doesn't bring a lot of offense. But that offense, of course, especially for these 4 guys on their top 6, or actually I should say these 6 guys on their top 6, really, really good. So that's going to be really tough to contain for us in the first round. We got to find a way definitely to slow that down, or else we're in major trouble. And we need our top 6 to do what it's done in the past. So that means we need to rely on Aiden Irving. We need to rely on Liam Ekholm, or Ludwig Ekholm, I should say, I think, right? Ludwig? Yeah, Liam Ekholm's somebody in my different series, I think, I had at one point. But Arthur Jaquizi. Our top 6, if it was better like last year in the last few years, I'd be feeling a little bit more safe. But moving up Bulbrook and Blunden, Walter being in the top 6 occasionally, it definitely isn't as strong as it has been. So I kind of still wish I had Caden Wilson in a sense, but then again, our defense probably wouldn't have been as strong if I had Wilson back for another year. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Winnipeg Jets franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll take it to round 1 against a stacked Arizona Coyotes team as we look to obviously build off that second half of the season and hopefully find ourselves back into round 2, round 3, and beyond that. Send anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.